And so I started playing on that rubber ball team, and I met a friend of a friend, and I just noticed how well everybody kept their gloves. They had glove conditioners from Japan, and they were using tools from Japan. So I thought, next time I get out to Japan, I need to really go and see this at a firsthand level. And maybe if I ask enough, to go to different stores, some legendary stores, maybe I can like hang out and work in their, department in their pro shop.
Welcome into another episode of Beyond the Glove. I am indeed your host, Ben Loafman, and I am excited today because our guest, it's one who we have talked about on our podcast before, but it's not actually someone who we've had as a guest just yet. Today we are talking with Matt Walden. He runs the website Walden Glove, and on that website, he's championed a unique break-in service. Plus, he has some of the most cool break-in products that you can find on the market on the US side. And on top of that, he also has a YouTube channel, which I personally love because it has great information for glove aficionados like myself. But also, if you're just a mom or a dad looking to buy a glove for your son or daughter, it's got great information on there too. And so that everybody has it ahead of a time, we're actually going to split our conversation into two podcast episodes so that you guys know that for moving forward. Today's episode, I think, is going to be a great human interest piece as we chronicle Matt's journey that he took to the other side of the globe, which eventually inspired him to offer the services and products that he does today on his website, Walden Glove. Matt, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Ben. Well, that was a great intro. I think you nailed it.
Tried my best, but no, just so we can help listeners get to know you a little better. Where are you chatting with? Where are you chatting from today?
So I'm sitting in my garage in my lab down here in Aliso Viejo, California.
Okay.
Grew up in this area down in Orange County.
Nice. I always love whenever all your videos when you're in the in your glove lab. It's like a surgeon's office, so clean and set up and everything's organized. So
thanks. Yeah.
And that so you said you grew up nearby in Orange County, is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, I grew up down in San Juan Capistrano. So
okay.
Not too far from here, about 15 minutes away.
Perfect. And so growing up for you, was it baseball all the way for you? Were you looking to be a baseball player from the earliest age, or how did that go for you?
A little bit. I mean, so growing up in Orange County, I was a big Dodgers fan. So I don't know, a little bit unusual. My dad grew up in Long Beach, so he would not go to Angels games. He was so over ever, setting foot there. So we went to Dodgers games all the time. And that kind of set the stoke for me to get into Little League Baseball. I played Little League Baseball, but then honestly, I kind of got out of it in high school and I got more into basketball. So that was kind of the end of baseball for me at that time as a player. But I continued, of course, as a big Dodgers fan, going to a lot of Dodgers games growing up.
So I'm trying to think. So when you were growing up, was that mid 90s time?
Yeah. So I was born in 85. So yeah, 90s kid. Yeah.
Eric Karros, I'm thinking. Is
Eric
that
Karros, big time? Of course, Gagne a little later was like the boss, as we were growing up in high school and stuff. And like that was a big deal watching him. So those were fun times. I mean, a little bare at times for the Dodgers, through those days. But it was good being a fan just to see the success now.
Nice.
It's cool.
And I have to ask you this, just because with you being a Dodgers fan, I don't know that many people from California, but I read a book recently. So when you would take in Dodgers, if you weren't at the game, did you listen on the radio to listen to Vin Scully, or would you watch?
Oh, all day. So it's all about AM 570 down here. Even to this day, I tune in on iHeartRadio at the office. I mean, I can watch the game, but I turn it on the radio just to hear, from Vin to Rick Monday now, it's legit. Yeah.
That's awesome. No, I love to hear. I read this book and I was fascinated that everyone up here wants to watch in Kansas City. If you can watch, you want to watch, but I think it's cool down there that it's always the choice to listen. So when you're growing up, so you like baseball, you're a little more into basketball, but I'm interested to know with basketball and when you were playing baseball, were you always a gear kid? Like, did you have to have the latest cleats, glove, and all that?
East Bay catalog all day long. So like just waiting for that mail to get that East Bay catalog to see what we could get in our team colors, to see, what the new gear was at all times for sure.
Nice.
Always.
That's awesome. Adam, I think that's two episodes in a row that we've had an East Bay drop. So I love that. So you're love baseball, love basketball too. So you go through high school, you go to college. Where'd you go to college at?
Sonoma State.
Okay, nice. And it sounds like when you were there, what did you study?
I studied liberal arts because I could take the least classes possible and get the most credits.
Nice. There you go. I love it. He's a smart man. So when you graduate from Sonoma State, and what's next for you after that?
So I had an opportunity. I had been working when I was younger as a graphic artist. I had an opportunity to move to Japan and work in the surf industry there, doing marketing and graphic art. And that kind of brought me into kind of the sports industry a little bit in Japan. So I went straight from college right out to Asia. I was in Thailand for a little bit, and then I was right into Japan.
Okay. Wow, that is fast. So a big move from California to Japan. And so you're in Japan, and so you're in the surfing industry.
Yeah.
And so you're learning all the marketing and all that. And did you, like, when you were out there, I assume if you were there, I think you said you were there for 8 years from
Yep.
2005 to 2013, is that correct?
Yep.
So did you have to learn the language and everything out there?
Yeah, so when I first got there, I didn't know anything at all. Didn't know the language. Thankfully, we had some great team. The company I was working with, super cool, and just got me in. Like, we'd go surfing, go drinking a lot. That's real fun in Japan. Go out at night, and honestly, I learned so much Japanese just from talking to like taxi cab drivers on the way home, and just like that kind of immersion level. So yeah, I was kind of into the deep end, but it was super fun just to have to like learn all that quick.
And what's your like top favorite part of like Japanese culture from when you were over there?
For sure, like the camaraderie and like the eating and drinking after you do something. So like you go baseball practice, you're probably all gonna go out and have a pretty good time after and celebrate. It's a very family atmosphere in Japan. I like.
From what I hear, that kind of sounds like almost like rugby culture or whatever like that. Like no matter like the people who play rugby, they play each other, and afterwards you always have to go do something with the other team or things like
Yeah,
that within the rugby.
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Okay, so you do the surfing, you kind of have a little bit of a window into like the sporting goods industry. But was baseball, while you were in Japan, was baseball ever on like the forefront of your mind as like what you were focused on while you were over there?
We used to go to some Tokyo Swallows games, the Yakult Swallows. We'd go to some Giants games, and I'd play some non-cheeky like catch and stuff with my friend, guest on his team a little bit. But he was a dude I surfed with, so wasn't really at the forefront at all. I had a JustGlove that was pretty cool when I lived there.
Okay.
So yeah, I had a glove. That was as best as I got into it.
Okay. All right. So in Japan, so they go after sporting goods a little bit different than we do here in the United States, from what I understand. So over there, it's like a pro shop atmosphere with everything that they do. Is that correct?
Yeah, totally. So if you have like a baseball department in Japan, usually the guy that's doing the break-ins is probably actively playing and helping break in like tons of gloves. They can do lacing and services almost at like every type of shop, which is amazing. And they all offer their own kind of secret and customization, which is very cool.
Mm-hmm. Nice. So do they do that for every single sport, whether it's like if you're playing basketball over there, or is it like fully focused on baseball for what they're doing?
No, like every sport. So what I experienced was like if a certain chain sporting goods store, if they put out a surf department at that location, they would have a very, very core crew. If they put out a snowboard department, it would be a core crew. Same thing with like basketball, baseball. Everything was very like from the core, where everyone who was running the department in the sporting goods store was deeply in it, and then the brands support it too with like trainings. I know in Japan, Wilson's staff has a crew of like 2-3 guys that go around. They break in gloves and teach you Momi break-ins. So that kind of level of immersion and then just kind of service to the customer is pretty cool.
Nice. So with that, so you're in Japan, so you have these kind of intro, you're kind of introduced to the way that they think about sporting goods. But in your mind, while you're there and even while you're leaving, are you ever thinking that getting back into baseball sporting goods, or specifically into baseball gloves,
Never.
did you ever think that was going to be on your mind?
Never. No, zero.
Really? So you come home. So you come back to the United States probably like 2013, 2014. And from what I've seen on your website, Walden Glove, you didn't actually start that business till 2022, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, nice. And then, so what were you doing between 2013 and 2022?
So I'm an entrepreneur and I have a brand agency, and so we work with several different brands on just brand launches and new concepts. So I've been doing all kinds of different stuff in the last 10 years, but right now I'm really focused on the gloves and the passion for gloves.
Okay. And so at what point when you got back to the United States, when were you like, okay, like baseball gloves, I'm going to start in on baseball?
So I think honestly, coaching Little League got me back into baseball and really got me back into the baseball community. And then at a certain point, I started relacing my gloves and started relacing my son's gloves. And so that's kind of what started it, was like taking gloves apart, seeing how they were made, watching Dirty 30s on YouTube, and figuring out, how to do different gloves, how to skive, talking with Chris Petroff. He helped me a lot in the beginning. Um, so that was kind of the initial. And then I knew in Japan there was this huge base for tools, for manufacturing, for craftsmanship. And so I wanted to start researching that a little bit. And so I started actually with a friend here. My wife's Japanese. My kids are half Japanese. They go to Japanese school. So one of their teachers has a Japanese baseball team here in El Segundo, Torrance area up in Los Angeles, and they play rubber ball. And so I started playing on that rubber ball team, and I met a friend of a friend, and I just noticed how well everybody kept their gloves. They had glove conditioners from Japan, and they were using tools from Japan. So I thought, next time I get out to Japan, I need to really go and see this at a firsthand level. And maybe if I ask enough, to go to different stores, some legendary stores, maybe I can like hang out and work in their department in their pro shop. And so yeah, that was a big trip that we planned, and we made that happen. And so I got to go learn a lot of stuff direct from some really cool people in Japan that were really nice to let me come and work with them.
That's pretty awesome. So you with your coaching your son's baseball team, and from that you were like, all right, there is some major runway for me to do a little business project for myself with baseball gloves.
Yeah, totally. It started as a local thing, just relacing the local kids' gloves, and then I saw the need for these tools, and I found a really good place, in the Northeast, where great wood is available in America, and we're able to make it here. And so that kind of took it to the next level, and then started getting into the break-ins a lot, and kind of creating this Umomi break-in style here in America, which has been cool to see that kind of catch on lately. So yeah, just kind of all started from Little League though.
That is crazy that is how that has gone for you. And just as well, so you had mentioned, I had mentioned earlier that with Matt's website, Walden Glove, he has his glove break-in tools, and then you also do the Umomi that you've mentioned a few times, the water type break-in. So those tools that you have, so you said you source the wood. Do you make those tools there in your garage there, your lab?
So I do not make the tools here. I have a manufacturer that's in Pennsylvania area. So Amish country, we have great wood. And so these are made there. I did make them myself initially. So all the first designs, prototyping, we all did here. But yeah, no, these are happily made in Pennsylvania, and it's the best wood you can get in America, I think. So Marichi Bat, same spot, similar area. So
nice.
It's
that's
good
very
spot
cool.
to get your wood.
Excellent. Well, perfect. Well, everybody, we appreciate you all joining in with us today for this episode of the Beyond the Glove podcast. Again, this is just part one of our conversation with Matt Walden. If you guys are enjoying the Beyond the Glove podcast, definitely go ahead and let your friends know about the podcast. That's how we're going to get it grown, so that more people can get on here and learn more about Matt and all of our other great guests. If you guys are watching on YouTube, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. If you guys are listening on Spotify or Apple, go ahead and give us a 5-star rating. We would greatly appreciate it. Until our next episode, enjoy yourselves.